Simple interest. Look, this is not used in everyday life. In a lot of ways, we use more complex interest rates, compounded interest rates, and everything else. But for the beginning math understanding of interest rates and trying to get us up into that more complex stuff, we start out with what's called simple interest, okay? And then the math problem is going to imply or refer to simple interest, and it uses the special formula I equals PRT. The I stands for interest. So if we figure out what PR and T are and what we do with them, we can figure out the interest. Well, the P stands for principal. Look, that's the money involved, the original money involved. It could be with loans. You know, if you borrow $2,000, then your principal is $2,000. It could be where you're investing. If I put $2,000 in and I'm going to be getting a certain amount of interest back from my investment, then your principal is whatever money you've invested. So it's money that you borrow or money that you invest. The rate is going to be a percent, okay? And we're always going to turn that into a decimal for these types of problems. And we know how to take a percent and turn it to a decimal. And then T stands for time, and it's always going to be in years. Okay, so if anybody ever says, hey, 6 months, 6 months would be represented as 0.5 because time is going to be in years. 0.5 would be the same as a half a year. Now, let's go on down and take a look at two problems. The first one we're going to take a look at is Bert and his checking account. All right, some checking accounts you can actually earn interest on. And so let's say that Bert puts $1,000 in his checking account and he decides to leave it there for 40 years and it's earning 2.5% simple interest. See how I'm saying it'll tell you simple interest? And if the question says how much interest did he earn, well, quite frankly, we can come down and use that formula to figure that out. If it says how much money does he have now after 40 years, well, then we've got to do just a little bit more. So let's get to work. How much interest did Bert have? So I'm copying this green question down right here so we've got a little bit of space to look at it. You know, you start out with the simple formula, simple interest formula, I equals P times R times T. The principal is the $1,000. The rate is 2.5%, and I need to take this and make it to a decimal. So it's going to be 0.025, and the T is going to be time, and so that would be 40 years. And so we'll times that by 40. We pull up our calculator. Fortunately, it's off there. And now we just let it do all the work for us, which is great. 1,000 times 0.025 times 40. And the answer is, don't let it fool you, it's $1,000. This doesn't happen too often, where the interest is the same as the principal, but that means that he got $1,000 interest, which is fantastic. So if we look a little bit closer at this question, how much money does he have now? This is how you figure that out. You take the original amount, which was the 1,000, here's the principal, $1,000, and you add whatever your interest was, which in this case it was $1,000. So 1,000 plus 1,000 is $2,000 total. So how much money does Bert have now? He's got $2,000. How much interest did he earn? It was 1,000. And his principal, his original amount, was 1,000 also. But hey, interest, while it's great when you're investing, it's not so great when you're taking out a loan. Let's just say that there's a girl named Lola, and she borrowed $200 from her parents, and her parents charged her 5%, look at that, simple interest. And they gave her 3 years to pay them back. Now, if the question says how much interest did Lola have to pay parents, we go straight to our formula, I equals PRT. So the principal was 200. The rate is 5%, so we make that into a decimal. And the time was 3 years. So that was nice, the fact it was already in years. And we just feed that to our calculator. 200 times 0.05 times 3, if you put it on your calculators right now, you'll see that it would be $30. So how much interest did she have to pay back? $30. Now let us be clear. If she borrowed $200, she's going to give every penny back to her parents. I mean, look, her parents are actually charging her interest. So they're going to get every dime back from Lola. But they're saying, hey, you've got to give us $30 extra. After 3 years, we want $230 back total. So how much money did she pay? Well, she paid back the principal. So let me do this. How about principal plus interest? Well, the principal was $200 and the interest was 30, and that explains where the $230 total that she had to pay back. So that's the lesson. When you borrow money, normally you have to pay interest. It can pay to just wait and save up the money yourself. Just give yourself more time to get the money. But if you're so eager to get something right then, somebody's willing to give you money. But usually it's only if you pay them interest back later. And so her parents, they're making money off their own kids. And just be a little less eager to go and borrow for money because you're always going to have to pay back interest.